Vigilante!
Does this movie do this comic justice? Let's talk about that. The Flash, directed by Andy Muschietti. The Flash centers around Barry Allen, the superhero known as The Flash, who goes back in time to save his family, inadvertently changing the future to where Zod returns to Earth where there is no superheroes to defend it. This movie, shrouded in controversy, okay? Ezra Miller got themselves into a hell of a lot of turmoil and drama leading up to this movie. People thought that this movie would be canceled. Lo and behold, here it is in theaters. When I first heard that they were doing a Flash movie, I was shocked when I heard that they were going to adapt the famous Flashpoint paradox into a movie. I thought that that was something that would have to be like a trilogy closer, you know, like they would have to do 2 Flash movies and then end with the Flashpoint paradox. No, they did not do that. They went for all the marbles right off the jump. I didn't think that was going to work, and right out of the gates, I'm going to let you guys know, it works. It definitely works for the first Flash outing in theaters. So let's get right into it. Barry Allen. It's his first solo movie. I've been waiting for this since I was a little kid reading Flash comic books. I thought that we would need to get like an origin story or a backstory, and doing the Flashpoint paradox storyline, we got all of that. And it was awesome because once Barry figures out that he can time travel, he goes back in time and he thinks he's just gonna live out this alternate reality where he gets his parents together, but he notices that his other self is there on that Earth, and he becomes a mentor to his younger self. And it's really cool to see an origin story, but at the same time we get another Barry Allen who has gone through that story. Let's talk about Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton has picked up this Batman role like he never dropped it. I mean, he hasn't played Batman in over 30 years, and he just becomes Batman like that, and, well, actually, I shouldn't say that. Or maybe I should say that. We'll save the spoilers for the latter half of the video. Right now, we are in the non-spoiler section of the video. So if you don't want to be spoiled, you can stick around. I will warn you before I start to spoil this movie. Michael Keaton's Batman is a highlight of The Flash. It is the reason, besides seeing The Flash himself, the second reason I wanted to see this movie, Michael Keaton's Batman, and I think I speak for a lot of people when I say that. I wasn't as excited for Supergirl, but she does not disappoint, okay? She is brutal. She is fun as hell to watch on the big screen. Superman may not be in this movie, but Kara kicks massive ass. At first, I was also skeptical about how they would bring General Zod into this storyline and make it make sense, or, you know, make it to where it's not just a rehash of Man of Steel. The way that they implement the story with Zod and Kara and Kal-El and Barry Allen, it's very well done. The script, the story, it is almost airtight. There is a lot of plot points that are kind of left hanging. It almost seems a little bit hastily done because, you know, time travel is a very wonky thing to do when translated to film. There's a lot of Back to the Future references in this movie. There is a nice little scene where Michael Keaton's Batman is explaining the space-time continuum with spaghetti. I thought that was pretty funny, but accurate. Pretty funny, pretty accurate. There's so much stuff going on that you are invested the whole time. The Flash does a good job of pacing. You start off with Barry Allen having a regular day and he's late for work, and then things unfold without giving away too much, and then he's the Flash, and then there's Ben Affleck. And Ben Affleck, this is probably his best portrayal of Bruce Wayne to date. He's not in the movie very long, not as long as Michael Keaton, but he does a good job with what he was given. And yeah, I mean, so far I've been saying nothing but pros, but let's move into some of the cons with The Flash. the CG. A lot of this movie relies on CG. The whole time travel aspect of it, there is a big CG vortex ball sort of a thing, and you see certain events from certain timelines play out around this sphere of the Speed Force, and it really looks like a video game unfolding around it. It doesn't, like, maybe that's what they were going for. Like, I can't tell if that was an aesthetic decision or if it's just the CG wasn't ready and they put this movie in theaters anyway. I mean, it doesn't necessarily affect the film's, I don't want to say that, because it did take me out of the movie. I wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt, but now that I'm thinking about it, that video game kind of CG, it did take me out of the movie for a little bit, but then once you get used to it and you know that that's going to happen every time that there is this Speed Force vortex with alternate timelines splintering in every which way, and you know it's going to look like a video game, you get used to it and you adapt. But at first it did take me out of the movie. Another thing that took me out of the movie is the multiple Ezra Millers. Okay, there is 2. And you can tell which one is the CG in almost every scene of this movie. There's only some times where it's masked very well with lighting or with the angle of the camera, but for the most part, you can tell which one is the in-camera Ezra and which one is not. That's a little bit jarring because the face almost looks like a video game. A lot of it just looks like a video game. A very well done video game, like an on point video game cutscene, but a video game cutscene nonetheless. Guys, if I'm gonna rank The Flash, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. It is Maximus Tomatoes approved. I do recommend you go see this movie. Now we're gonna move into spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled, get out now, click off now. I just gave you my non-spoiler thoughts. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Okay. George fucking Clooney, dude. You've been warned. Hopefully I didn't spoil it for you, but George Clooney shows up in this movie. 60s Batman shows up in this movie. Nicolas Cage Superman shows up in this movie. Christopher Reeves shows up in this movie. Post-mortem. I mean, this movie went for it, dude. We got Michael Keaton, Ben Affleck. We got the 60s Batman. We got the original 70s Superman. We got the almost but not really Nicolas Cage Superman from the infamous meme where Nicolas Cage was supposed to play Superman but then didn't due to studio whatever happened there. Oh my god. This movie is something else, dude. I'm just all over the place, but I literally just got out of the theater. It is 1:30 in the morning. My theater let out at about 1, and I just came home, immediately threw on the camera. Yeah, guys, I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. But if we're talking spoilers, let's jump right for it. The main villain that is not Zod in this movie is actually Barry 2. The younger Barry Allen winds up being the Speed Force demon almost in this film, because in the beginning when Barry first travels back in time, he is punched out of that Speed Force vortex and he is inserted into the timeline where the young Barry Allen did not yet get his powers, thus leading him on the chain of events to give his younger self the powers, teach his younger self. And then at the end, when they realize that this Earth is doomed to fail and be destroyed, that is where the younger Barry, that is the Speed Demon, comes, and he's trying to... I'm trying to make sense of this, guys. I swear I'm trying my best. It's a very convoluted ending, if you can't already tell, if you haven't seen the movie. If you have seen the movie, you know what I'm trying to communicate here. There is these, like, space intersection points, Barry says, and no matter what you do, You can't change what happens at that intersection in the space-time continuum. It is inevitable. So we see Michael Keaton's Batman die multiple times. We see Kara die, and we see the team fail multiple times. And Barry Prime realizes that he can't change it, and this is what Bruce was talking about at the beginning of the film. Trying to change the present or change the future by altering the past is a horrible thing, and it will just cause more problems and wreak havoc on the space-time continuum. But younger Barry 2, doesn't want to accept the fact that his mother has to die and his Earth has to inevitably be destroyed. So he continues to travel back in time and back in time and back in time. And then we see his older self. He's just decrepit and beaten, and at one point, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was literally drooling at the mouth. I mean, he is just battle-torn and he's beaten up. He's trying to save his world. He is trying to rewrite an inevitability. And you see this, and his speed demon ghost character aesthetic, his look at the end of this film is pretty awesome. And once you notice that it's the younger Barry, it's kind of like a WTF moment. And it's like, wow, that was cool. Confusing as hell. Like, I don't know if that actually logically, with the parameters of the storyline and time travel in this movie, makes sense. But I'm here for it. I'm here for it. What I was hinting at earlier about Michael Keaton instantly becoming Batman, yes, he does a great job of clicking into his Batman persona, but why I was hesitant to say that is because at first, when we're introduced to Michael Keaton, he's got long hair, a beard, and an apron on, and he's wearing one flip-flop. And it's just like, what the fuck happened to this guy? Then he drops a line saying that Gotham is now one of the safest cities. They don't really need him anymore. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool thought, that Batman has been fighting crime since the 80s, and now in this future, in this timeline, Gotham is one of the safest cities in the world. It's really cool to see Tim Burton's world elaborated on, and the score from the Tim Burton movie being implemented into this movie, chef's kiss. I love that score. It is very nostalgic for me. Michael Keaton was the first Batman that I ever saw. I mean, I had his movies on DVD when I was younger, and I would watch them on repeat. So seeing Michael Keaton in here was awesome. Now, I told you guys, I mentioned George Clooney was in this. That's the WTF twist ending, because Barry goes back in time. He notices that he can't save his mom, but he puts the tomatoes on the top shelf. Therefore, his dad, who is in prison, would be caught on the security camera, and his appeal would go through. So Barry Allen basically got his dad out of prison. You think all is well in the world, and then he walks out and Bruce Wayne is there, and it's George Clooney. So it is more of a paradox, and it sets up a Flash 2, which there probably will never be, with the whole controversy of Ezra Miller and the whole reboot of the DC universe with James Gunn's party. But yeah, I thought it was funny. I thought it was entertaining as hell. George Clooney shows up at the very end. How fucking funny was that? Was funny. Okay, my theater popped big. They laughed so hard when George Clooney got out of the car. Hilarious stuff. I think Andy Muschietti's directing was on point here. The CG could have been, I don't know, maybe they should have given them another year to work on that CG. Maybe, you know, maybe that's as good as they could do, or maybe that's the aesthetic they wanted. I don't really think that's what they were going for, but nonetheless, that's how it wound up. Yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I kind of hit all the points, I think. I talked about everything that I wanted to, at least. Carry on the conversation in the comments down below. I'm getting delirious. I gotta open at work tomorrow in 4.5 hours. So, I'm gonna wrap the video here. I could probably go on and on. At the end of the day, was The Flash a competent adaptation of the Flashpoint comic? I don't think so. I mean, it wasn't actually the comic. It was very, very different. But, oh, where am I saying? Let me add this in there. The part where he gets struck by the lightning, that was pretty fucking cool, okay? He gets strapped up and Michael Keaton's Batman zaps him to get his powers back. Really cool stuff. That part from the comic, that was pretty faithful to the comic. And then Cora brings him up and gets him struck by lightning again, and it's a whole thing. I liked the movie. I enjoyed it. I recommend you go see it in theaters. This part, the spoiler section, was kind of all over the place. Sorry for that. It will make sense if you have seen the movie. Yeah, I'm just spitballing at this point. I'm delirious. I worked a 9-hour shift and now here I am. It is now almost 2 in the morning. Yes, okay. The Flash. Go watch it. There's only one question left to ask. Are you not entertained?
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.